Hi there. Hello, everyone. This is Ayush Mittal from MBA Trek. Um, let's wait for a couple of minutes more, and then we will start with discussing the questions that you had asked us in past few days with respect to this UXpert corporate competition. It has been a great experience so far. I would say answering all the important questions that you had asked. A wonderful experience for you as well. And this is, I think, what this user experience is all about, right? We thought that unlike few corporate competitions, let us deliver the best kind of user experience from ourselves, and that is why we have started this query resolution session for each and every one of you. We have around 10 to 15 questions per se, which we would be discussing in next 15 or 20 minutes. If, however, there is any additional question that you guys, you might have, feel free to comment the same in the chat box. And I would be happily, I would be very happy to answer those questions as a whole. Uh, so, when we talk about this corporate competition, it was mainly about user experience, user journey. And fortunately, all the questions that we have so far that have been asked by you people are, revolving around these two verticals as a whole, user experience, user journey, right? Let us start now with the very first question that we have. So I have how much? Around 14, 15 questions, right? Let me start with the basic ones. So the first question that was asked to us was, can I purchase more than one assessment if I'm confused? Obviously, see, we have provided you with the coupon code UXpert 100, and we have provided you also with the links of the four assessments that we have: industry suggested, right type of organization, interview booster, and internship analysis. Okay. Now, obviously, you as a user, you are you are first time visiting our, you probably, would be visiting our website for the first time. You have no idea what these products or what these assessments would really mean or contribute the value, to you. So to answer that particular question as a whole, we as a team decided that, okay, let us give you a freedom to first of all add value to your profile as a whole. Because given the current situation we have, uh, understanding the industry and understanding the right type of organization for which you are best fit for is really important. And given those scenarios which would add value to your profile, to your career journey as a whole, you are free to purchase one, two, three, or if you want all four of these assessments. Okay. And the one which you feel that, okay, given the questions that we had asked for that particular assessment, if you feel that, okay, I think that I would be able to answer all these questions with respect to interview booster, pick that assessment as your as a part of this submission. But yes, to answer the question as a whole, you are free to purchase any number of assessments any number of times. Okay. Yeah. The second question that was asked is the bonus question compulsory? So there is a brownie point associated with that bonus question. That was about monetization model and your product and growth strategy as a whole. It is not compulsory, it is optional. Okay. The reason that we have made it optional is quite very simple. This corporate competition stands for only two things: user experience and user journey. About the monetization model, yes, some of you love to work on Excel, love to build monetization models, and that is why we have put this as a freebie question. There is a surprise element associated with the very same. If you answer it, obviously you are eligible for, to get shortlisted for campus winners, for national finalists, and you're also eligible for that particular brownie point as well. But how, whatsoever, if you do not want to submit that particular question, it's totally okay. You are still eligible for each and every opportunity except for the brownie point, right? So again, to answer the question, no, it's not compulsory. However, we would love to have few solutions around the very same, right? So coming to the next question we have, do we need to deliver two journey maps given that you had asked for two segments? Okay. So, Let me take an example of one of the most popular apps that we use, for travel, and that would be maybe Ola or Uber. I think most of the journey, for a rider, if the rider is a male or female, or whatever age segment, is going to be the same. Yes, there could be few differentiating points which you might want to create for a specific set of users. Okay, so more or less, let me say that around 50% of the journey, okay, is going to be same for both the users. What you have to do is think of creating additional 50% that is customized for two different set of users. So to answer your question, yes, you might have to deliver with two different user journeys, but it's not as difficult as you would think, because the sign up, the purchasing, and all the value addition process is going to be more or less same. The differentiating factor is what something, or the customization factor is what something you would have to work upon, right? So, and yes, again, just coming back to the question, it's not difficult, it's quite easy once you understand that what exactly what is the value that you would be providing to your users as a whole. So the next question we have is, do all the members in the team need to have unique assessments? Yes. So if you have, if you are the sole warrior in your team, it's totally up to you. If you have two individuals, two, three, or four, whatsoever, the assessment that you pick finally, okay, as a part of this competition for yourself, has to be different from the one that is picked by your friend. All right. So, and that is why we have given you four assessments, because the registration, the maximum number of members in a team is going to be four, right? So yes, it has to be unique, and that is why also we have given you the opportunity to pick any assessment as a final one, and as a team, obviously, because this is not an individual competition. This is a more of a teamwork, I would say. So as a team, you can definitely decide which, the one that you want to pick and the one that your friends might want to pick as a whole. The next question that we have is there any limitation to the number of slides? No. See, and this would not, really go with the standard corporate competition submissions that you would have made in the past. The only reason here is because we as a team want to give you an independence of thinking about your own, around the creativity as a whole. And I believe when it comes to UI mocks, when it comes to user journey, we would not want to limit you, based on the number of slides. Howsoever, the concise, skill as a whole is a different, parameter to be judged upon. So the best number of slides, or the least possible number of slides in which you can present your submission, is quite, I would say, very good to go with. But yeah, to come back to your question, there is no limitation on the number of slides. Feel free, but yeah, don't overload it, as we have to, I think, evaluate it in depth with each and every one. So think about us as well. We are thinking about you as a whole, but yeah, no limitation as such. The next question is, okay, where is the upload link? So we will be sharing with you the upload link. Obviously, you had the privilege to upload it on the platform as well, but we would be sharing, a different link with each and every one of you, or at least the team leaders. We will be sharing the same link, maybe by tomorrow, 21 or 22nd of November. All right. And what you will have to do is you will have to submit your PPT over there only, right? And yeah, coming back to these dates, so we have extended the deadline till 25th of November. You have additional 72 hours, right? And just make the best, out of it, I would say. Yeah, so the upload link would be shared with you soon. The next question that we have is, and okay, and yet again, important question, I would say, how important is beautification in UI mocks? Okay, so to answer it in one word, I would say very less. Okay, beautification in UI mocks is not that much important. I think what is more important is the process, right? That you have created in those UI mocks, the process that through which you want to create the flow of the user from one point to another, the process by which you want to add value to those users in order to achieve their goals, in order to help them achieve their goals as a whole. Beautification, color coding is something which obviously looks very exciting and beautiful, yes, but that is not very important. So if you're not good at it, don't waste your time on it. Focus on more important stuff. If you are good at it, obviously that is your cup of tea. Totally, worth your efforts. If you feel like, go with that, I would say. Okay. Then we have, do we have to draw? Just a minute. What is it? Yeah. Do we have to draw UI mocks and user journey for all the features we have mentioned? Okay. So yeah, as a part of the exercise, I think you were asked to, just introspect and think on the goals that your users would want to achieve. Think on the goals that you or we, as MBA Trek would want to achieve, and all and all. So for all the yes, and again you had to enlist the features that you think you would be including as a part of this product. No, I think what you can do. You don't need to draw UI mocks or user journeys for all the features. So suppose I think if you want to become a UXO in the future, or a product manager, or a product analyst in the future, you should be comfortable with and you should be aware of these things like versions of a product, right? So the Facebook that you see today is not the Facebook that that was 10 years back, right? Multiple versions have come 10 years down the line. What you can do is you can create MVP, that is minimal viable product, right, as a version 1, and you can also create version 2 of the very same. I mean, you can just mention the features that okay, these features I would want, or we as a team would want to create in version 2, but this is your version 1, this is our MVP. And see, that is very important because that helps us judging you on your prioritization skills, and obviously on your creativity, because if you're limited to just version 1, then definitely you have limited time. Obviously you won't be able to include that much in your submission. But if you just solve the problem for version 1 and also deliver just in 1 or 2 slides about your version 2, that will help us understand that okay, this team is productive, this team has prioritization skills and creativity as well, right? So maybe and if you have some unique feature and it is very difficult to get implemented, maybe you can just explain it in your exercise part, and you can get it in version 2. It's not really compulsory, right? It's totally your product, right? So for example, coming back to this Ola Uber example, so let's say that someday, let us assume that you're a product manager at Ola or Uber, right? And for tourists, what you plan to do is you plan to add a feature onto, let's say, so that if someone has come to, let's say, Goa, okay, and if they want to drop off from, let's say, railway station or airport to some other location, right, to their hotel, let's say, and you want the app to act as a guide, that from railway station to some destination you are letting the rider know that okay, on your left we have this beach, on your right we have so and so, a good temple, or or a good church, right? That is a feature obviously that we would love to to read it, to go through it. But again, feel free to include it in version 2, not in one in not in version 1. So yes, coming back to your question as a whole, you don't need to draw UI mocks or user journeys for each and everything, right? Okay, so the next question we have is, I'm working on a prototype tool. Can I share the link of the same in the PPT, or can I attach the same in the? Yes, see, I think we have already mentioned in the guidelines that you can feel free to attach your Excel or any other links that you might want to in your PowerPoint presentation as a whole. So obviously, if you're working on a prototype tool, whatsoever it is, right, it. And since you have not mentioned it, I won't be taking examples also. But whatsoever prototype tool that you're working on, if you have created a prototype, obviously you can create, you can attach the link of the very same. It's totally good, with us. Okay. The next question is, should user acquisition strategy be limited to only 2 kinds of users? Yes. So in part 1, the 3 questions that we have asked, I think each and every one of them is limited to 2 segments that you have to pick out of the 4 segments that we have provided to you. Okay. And the same good would go for the third question as a, as your part one, that is your user acquisition strategy. So whatsoever number that you have been asked to reach for, I think it's 1 million users, okay, in next 12 months. So you will have to think on these two user segments that you have finalized. Okay, you should not include the third and the fourth one. If there is a problem, so here is a tip from my side. If there is a problem in achieving that particular number as a whole, maybe what you can do is you can create sub segments of that particular segment as a whole. And STP, right? So maybe you can take that into consideration, right? And then obviously, what are the factors you need to take with respect to demographics, geographics, and so on, to understand that, okay, maybe I can reach this number by visualizing the problem in so and so manner. So yes, reaching that number is what you have to do, taking only two kinds of users that you have finalized for your submission. Okay. All right. So the next question we have is, I had already purchased a few assessments before. Can I pick the same now as a part of this competition? All right. So I think this question would have come up from a student who belongs to a campus wherein we had also associated in the past, right? And we had already given few assessments as a part of your career preparation. See, if you have already purchased an assessment before, definitely you can include the same, or maybe you can try another one and see the difference in terms of your submission, in terms of how you would be able, or what product would you be able to present better when it comes to the questions that we have asked, right? So yes, you have the freedom to pick the same assessment if you had already purchased it, and if not, then obviously feel free to pick any other assessment that is left, right? Okay. What should we include in user acquisition strategy? All right. So, okay, let me just give you answer in bits and pieces, I would say, because I think people who already know that what should be included in user acquisition strategy would not be very happy with me if I, give you a detailed answer. But obviously, this is about improving your user experience, so I will contribute to, some of it. Um, if you are confused between, with the term acquisition of user as a whole, first of all, what I would say is we are talking about two kinds of users, both your paid and unpaid users. Okay, both would come under the term acquisition. All right. So you don't have to make your calculations according to the fact that if I'm talking about 1 million users, I'm talking about 1 million paid users, right? I'm talking about 1 million people who use this product as a whole, right? So many of you would be having Netflix, a Netflix app on your mobile phones, but not every one of you would be having a subscription. Maybe you just downloaded it and you're waiting for your friend to send their email ID and password, or you're just waiting for the next month, to have your own account as a whole. So that is your unpaid thing as a whole. So yes, we're talking about both paid and unpaid users acquisition. How to do that? Obviously, you can think across a lot of verticals. I would start with the basic ones, let's say branding activities, right? So how exactly are you planning to align your branding or marketing activities for next 1 year, in order to help achieve this number of 1 million users as a whole? I think the next thing that we can do, or I mean, you can do is, think across, let's say, collaborations, right? So if you want, uh, if you say that, okay, maybe, this product can have collaborations with so and so company or so and so other products, right? So how would that work as a whole in order to have a win-win situation or a win-win strategy for both the stakeholders that we are talking about? I think these 2 points are a good, go ahead to have a basic idea of what should you be including in your user acquisition strategy as a whole. Okay. Coming to the next question we have, how should we describe the exercise in the PPT? Okay. So I think because this is the question that you have already mentioned, I am doubtful if by the term exercise you mean the actual exercise that we have asked you to just do within yourself. Okay, or is it some other kind of exercise which you might which you might have thought of? But considering both these scenarios, I think a good way to describe, the exercises in the form of a PPTs, maybe you can, include your findings or outcomes of your primary and secondary research that you have done. You can, maybe just create, let's say, empathy maps or user personas if that is required. And most importantly, maybe what you can also do is, because see, as a UX, so selection and rejection of parameters of segments or anything, I think these two are equally important, right? Because as much as you decide on the factors on the basis of which you select few things, you should also be able to take that risk as a whole, that why you have rejected the things that you're planning to reject. So I think the selection criteria or the factors that you have taken into consideration to come up to this decision of yours, that selection could be with respect to features, with respect to goals, with respect to the segment in itself, right? So I think that is very important. Maybe you include that as a part of your exercise, right? um, if all my team members are, so this is okay, if all my team members are already placed by the time the results are announced except for me, would I still be given a PPA opportunity? See, I think this would clear for everyone who is who would watch this. The answer is yes, obviously. See, even if it's a team effort, I think you have contributed equally, right? If it's a team of four, I think you deserve 25% of the submission, right? And if we have liked it, you deserve a PPA opportunity as a whole. Obviously, no, that is not even a question, right? I think not for me or not for any one of us. The straightforward answer is yes. If you have done really good, you are eligible for each and every opportunity that we have lined up over here. Let's say if you have, if you have done something really beautiful, but let us assume that you could not become the campus winner, but we liked your submission. Again, you have the opportunity. We honor and we respect your creativity and your efforts. That is it. Bottom line, nothing else, right? Okay. The next question that we have is, what are the most, and the least important criteria on which we would be evaluated? All right. So I think as a part of, and this was the last question per se that we had in the existing database. I think I've already answered this question, throughout the session. But just to answer as a part of this question, I would say the most important skills which we are looking forward to, or which we would take into consideration, are first of all your process structured thinking. Okay, because that is really important to become a UX, right? Why is that important? Because if you have missed out on a very critical detail, or if you have jumped from level 1 to level 4 without even bothering about level 2 and 3, that level 4 in itself is of not that much use, because you don't really know how the user, or why the user would want to go to level 4 without even thinking about level 2 and 3. So process structured thinking is really very, very important. The same goes to attention to details, right? That is also equally important. Creativity, obviously, no questions asked, it is very very important. And one thing I think, I have not thought of it, but when I was giving answers of version 1 and version 2, I think your broad or structured, I think the broad would be a good word to describe that particular thing, is also important. Your broad thinking, see, that would give you and us an idea that, okay, this particular team has thought of this product for not just, let's say, as a part of this competition, but as a whole, right? And then you thought that, okay, now as a part of this competition, whatever questions that we have been asked, we would be answering the very same. But this is the broad vision that we have of this product. So yes, vision, if you have a vision of the product, if you have a broad thinking, that you can lay out the entire structure as a whole, and a part of it you select as MVP, and you say that, okay, this is what I would be submitting. So that is another important skill, besides prioritization and others, that we would be taking into consideration. What we would not be taking into consideration, I think, from our point of view, your design or color coding, or your beautification that you do in your app, not in app, sorry, in in presentation, in your PPT submission. I think that is not very much important, right? You can just skip those things. You can focus more on the content, focus more on the process, okay, and focus more on the people, right? I think that is what we at MBA Track believe in, the PPT model that we say, people, process, and tech, right? And just like in PPT, the T at our end also comes at the end. So tech is something which can be built, right? It's not difficult. The most important part in tech industry as a whole are the two, P's: process and people. And I think that is something which you should be focusing on more, instead of that tech, or just focusing on other random designs and all. So we will take care of it, no issues. You don't need to worry about it. As a UXO, you need to focus more on the other two things that we have said, right? That was all that we had with respect to the questions that were already presented to us. If any one of you has any question, let us take it forward. If not, it was a great it was a great experience for me per se, answering all your questions for us as team MBA Trek. And let's take it forward to one more level. And yeah, so any questions? I would be here, let's say for next 2 or 3 minutes at least. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot. Sorry, I have a bad throat, so I think that would work, right? So we still have few people who are watching. If you have any questions, then please let us know in the chat box, right? Or I think I have answered almost every question that people had. So what many teams had asked us before, and what a few of the teams also asked when we floated the form yesterday. Yes, I think I pretty much covered it all. Okay, that is again a good user experience probably for you people as a whole. And I think that is what user experience is all about. We should not think of just one set of users. We should be thinking of each and everyone who is into the ecosystem. I think that is what team MBA Trek as a whole believes in, right? Okay, so there is a question that we have: do we actually have to submit the overall detailed UX UI of the app? Okay, thanks Mukul for this question, and I think this would be relevant for people who had joined late, or otherwise as well. Uh, I think, and obviously no. The single straightforward answer is no. You don't have to submit the overall detailed UI UX of the app. What you have to submit is the MVP, okay, the minimum viable product as a whole. You can submit all the details that you can think of, right? That I'm thinking that, okay, these are the goals that my users would want to achieve. These are the features using which I'm planning that they would be achieving their goals. But I think as a part of my prioritization, I would be keeping these goals upfront. I would be keeping these features upfront, and here I have your UI UX as a version 1, right? Let's keep these things as version 2, because I believe these are the most important value additions that my users would be most interested in, right? So I'm interested, if this is what you have thought of, I'm happy to have just this, but that should be detailed. That should make us believe that yes, this team has creativity and this team has thought of across all the verticals. But again, you don't need to submit your UX of the entire app. We would not expect you to do that, right? In 15 days of time, no one would, and no one should per se. So just A small part of it would be more than enough, according to me. Welcome, welcome, and all the best for your corporate competition. I think we would finish here, right? It was a great experience, and I think we have tried our best to answer all your questions. If and yes, we are available for next 5 days as well. The deadline is 25, not 22. Feel free to ping us, call us the same way multiple teams have been doing, and we really love to help you because it's our competition, it's our and when I say our, it's you and us, collectively. So we as a team need to solve this problem for the entire students and young professionals ecosystem as a whole. I think that is very important. We need to work as a team and get get this thing going. Okay, thank you so much. Take care, all the best.